stage 2 at Intelligentsia, Lake Bluff, where apparently I don't know how to clip in and immediately get passed by like 50 people on the left. And the weather was good up until about like 60 seconds before the race, and it started raining. So everyone really wanted to be at the front, but only a few people could be at the front. So this first lap, I'll just show you this whole first lap. This first lap was just pretty chaotic. Let's see here, we are coming through some more corners with bad pavement, with paint lines, and with manhole covers. And it doesn't take long. Yep, there's a crash already involving like, I don't know, 15 riders, something like that. Opening a gap already to the leaders of the race. And then us behind are all strung out, having to take risks, having to close gaps just to get to the leaders. And those people that crashed went back to the pit, and they actually were let back into the front group. So I don't really know what the officials were doing. They probably shouldn't have let those riders back into the front group, but they did, so that kind of sucked. And this is coming into the last left-hander before the long start-finish straight, which you can't really tell in the video. Oh, here's this Triple X guy coming in like way too hard. He did that a couple of times in this race. You'll see later on. I'm screaming, get around that guy, because there's some guy just sitting up on the front, not doing any work. This is, what I was saying is this is a slight uphill. Can't really tell, but slight uphill with a pretty strong tailwind. So this is really hard. You can see I'm like 600 watts. Pretty sustained through the start-finish. And people were making their way to the pit. The pit was right back there on the left. So later on, oh man, people taking big risks. This is later on, second lap, people taking their hands off the bars when they shouldn't be. People taking risks through these corners on the paint. Oh, another crash. That one has like 10 people, including the race leader. More gaps to close, more dropped riders. Here we go, 8 minutes in, another crash. You saw a guy on the right. Oh yeah. I'm telling this guy he's all right, because he took that corner really slow, and he was all nervous, and he slid out still. Another crash on the right, another dropped rider on the left, and there's still a group up ahead. There you can see some riders in the pit still, indicating another crash, and we're 15 minutes into the race, and it's just completely blown apart. So there's still a group up ahead, and just trying to get to the front of this little chase group. The first 20 minutes of this race were just a total shit show. It was just insane. People were blowing up. So I see the cyclist guy start going, and I think, well, that's a pretty good wheel to follow. He seems motivated to get to that front group, which is maybe 15 seconds ahead of us. So I jump on his wheel, and I'm 180 beats per minute. That's like about as fast as my heart can go. So I'm all in on this one, but you know, why not? Because I'm not going to save energy in the chase group. I'm not here to win races, and get behind the cyclist guy. He sees I'm there. We have a gap. He elbows me through, and I oblige, because, like I was saying, I mean, it is completely crucial to get to that front group, and not going to win the race in the chase group. And they were just pulling further and further away, taking better lines. You can see some riders getting dropped from that group, maybe caught up in a crash, something like that. And I'm taking these corners as fast as I can in the conditions, basically curb to curb, still feeling my rear wheel wash out occasionally on the paint. So I know that I'm going as hard as I can through here. And I take my pole, elbow the cyclist guy through, but in the end, a couple laps later, we get caught. It doesn't work. But at least we motivated a chase effort behind, and kind of separated the motivated riders from the riders that were just barely hanging on, or maybe weren't able to control their bike in the rainy conditions. Plus, I look back, I realized, oh, there's like several cyclist guys. There's Kernhouse guys, there's Skyline riders. So there are strong teams that aren't represented up the road, and I'm just gonna let them do the chasing, because they got the numbers, and at this point in the race, it was just me. So eventually we do catch on. You can see there, now the group is up to maybe 35 or something like that, which 30 minutes into an hour and a half race to a 90-minute race, and we go from, you know, like 90 riders to 35 riders. It was a really brutal first 30 minutes of racing, but now we're over an hour into the racing, and the rain started again. It stopped in the middle, and you can see it's the chaos is back. That guy on the right crashing out, causing some gaps to open up. This guy just generally uncomfortable in the conditions, and or just exhausted, something like that. Gaps open up. You'll see a lot in common with with yesterday's race. You'd think I'd learn my lesson, but I was, be honest, I was exhausted too. This was a really hard fought race, and I was doing what I can to remain in good position. But up towards the front, the attacks were just flying left and right, with the major teams controlling things. What do we got here? Another big crash on the left, involving the race leader once again. This is the way this race went, was move up, fight for position, and then get caught behind a split. Yep, there's another crash on the left. Get caught behind a split, and you know, like 10 minutes of hard racing undone in a moment because you're on the brakes. So yeah, this guy on the right with the red helmet, again from the last video from stage 1, he was the guy that went down. Keep an eye on him. He was just pretty uncomfortable through these corners. Didn't really know how to handle his bike in a crit. Big engine, strong rider, didn't really know how to handle his bike in a crit. Oh, check out the Movistar rider on the right here. So we're an hour and 13 minutes into the race. Just keep that in mind for now. A lap later, gaps opening up. You can see the Skyline rider went down on my right. He's all scuffed up. I feel like I was the only person that didn't crash in this race or end up in the pit at some point. I saw a lot of people putting a foot down in the grass behind a crash, going to the pit. I saw people go to the pit like several times, like 3 times, 4 times through the pit. So there's the Movistar rider getting let back in on the left. Now, this is an hour and a half race. These laps are less than 2 minutes. He just got a 4 free laps with you know, something like 6 laps to go. So you be the judge. I mean, to me, that is such a huge advantage. He ended up getting like 6th in this race or something like that too. So huge advantage. He was up there in the overall standing. That was me trying to move up there a minute ago. Triple X guy again losing control of his back wheel, and we're getting close to the end here now. I'm trying to move up in position, and then boom, red helmet guy down once again. And that was more or less it for me. Got 3 riders off the front, and I'm laughing with the Hedrick rider here on my left, like, hey, at least we're still alive. Live to fight another day. And yeah, sorry guys, that's not very exciting finish. Really hard race nonetheless. Nice to see a little Colombian sprinter win, not one of the big teams from the break. I rolled in for 29th or something like that, which is nothing to write home about, but better than like 60 people still that showed up, so that's kind of cool. So I got another one coming up. I have a podium finish with some really exciting racing in the next video, so stay tuned. As always, thanks for watching. See you at the next one.